My name is Hampton Norton, if you haven't heard me say that before, and I am lucky enough to be the director of this year's Homemade Music Symposium. The next panel we have for you is going to focus on issues surrounding alternative ways of getting your message out. These can be, I guess more or less standard alternative ways like Facebook, MySpace, but then, is there a way to monetize that? Is there a way to make sure that's actually being effective? It seems like everybody has a MySpace page. Is it, gotten to the point where it's diluted and really not that important anymore? So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Julia Gorska, who's a social media consultant in Tampa. Brian Childs, who runs a successful, the most successful music blog in Tampa? 9bullets.net. Megan Bowler runs a website called artsqueeze.com and is a social media correspondent as well. Stephen Hamill works with Creative Loafing on their online production, and Darren Gilbo, who runs siliconadvantage.net. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. As Hampton mentioned, I'm Darren Gilbo with Silicon Advantage. Our tagline is where the techies, artists, and suits collide. And we kind of like to live that, as I'm a musician as a background and also a techie. Recently got into kind of the suit portion, and our company actually does website design and development, and more so are being tasked to move into the marketing and promotion of your website along the lines of just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. More so, we are doing social media as a huge component of that online marketing, and I really enjoy that piece of it, and also tying it into to the music side of things.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Hamill. I'm the online producer for Creative Loafing here in Tampa. Many of you probably know our weekly alternative newspaper. I am in charge of our hourly alternative website, sealtampa.com. And my job there, in addition to trying to grow traffic, is to recruit as many contributors as I can and come up with new ways through social networks to help build my company's brand. So that's why I'm up here.
I'm Megan Bowler. I have a blog called artsqueeze.com. It's about a year and a half old. And on this blog, I write about visual arts in the local community, exhibit reviews, news, etc. Also on Facebook and Twitter, and on CL's Visual Art Critic.
I'm Brian Childs. I run 9bullets.net, it's a music website, as well as contribute to Creative Loafing. The site's been around for about 3 years.
Hi everybody, I'm Julia Gorska, and I'm a complete social media junkie. I started a social network called Brand Tampa that's hyper-local, and it's all about getting the word out about local awesomeness and how do you tell stories about a city outside of traditional means. I also co-host Tampa Bloggers Tweet Up that we've been doing for a couple months now, and it's awesome. Our last one we had 250 people show up at the Florida Aquarium, and so I'm really into also this kind of mixing and mingling, how you bring the online, offline, and really engage, get to know your fans, and get word out about your business, your music.
Well, I think one of the biggest questions we have, we decided to go ahead and send some tweets. And if you don't know what tweets are, stick around or see us afterwards, because you're in the right place. And some emails to find out what people wanted to hear about. What were some of the hot topics in alternative media promotion? And overwhelmingly, what came back were some questions like, just how do I get my music heard? How do I get fans? You want to address that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little website in St. Pete, and I get 30 CDs a week easily. It's just a CD and a one sheet that I didn't even ask for. It just shows up in the mailbox. I got a stack in my computer, and it's about that big. So it just accepted that, and I forgot about. Or if somebody handwrites, I'll read your site, or like show some proof that they actually send it to me because they care, or it goes into a different site, which actually gets listened to.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know I can speak for our music team at Creative Loafing, and I've worked in traditional media for a while now. Generally, when CDs come into music reviewers, if they're just fired off without any personal message, they'll generally go in pile B, as Brian was saying, and the chances of that getting listened to and featured are not very good. So the old traditional media idea of you've got to make connections is definitely still alive in our media. The people who make the extra step of contacting our music critic or contacting me and asking who that person is, finding a little bit more about them, and then sending a CD and saying, here's what I think, here's what we sound like, here's what you might like about it. Those things get listened to a lot more, definitely.
I know that Julia teaches a course right on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this out there. I'm sure people want to know what type of resources are required.
What type of resources are required? Well, I can tell you my two personal favorites. I say personally, first of all, you start with sort of a curiosity. I think you have to have a natural curiosity, and you have to also somewhat like people to want to connect with them. And then my two favorite things are my iPhone and my flip video camera, both of which I never go anywhere without. I love video, and I'm a huge fan of this flip because, you know, YouTube is just so awesome because it's, as the guy from TuneCore was saying earlier, it's a democratizer. I mean, you can compete on the same bands that typically, you couldn't get on MTV with, you can be on YouTube with. And all you have to do is have this, and why I love my little flip camera is because it already has the editing software built in too, so you can have any computer at all. And it has a USB port right here, so when you're done, I just pop it in my laptop and you can edit. So, and this thing costs under $200. So there's all kinds of easy tools like that out there.
I think, to me, that part of what Julia is saying addresses the point of making your media accessible, making your artwork, whatever form it takes, accessible to the potential reviewer or consumer. And my reference points are all visual art, but several of the sort of things that I think of as best practices that I see in the visual arts community are people who send out like a little newsletter that I don't have to spend that much time with, but it gives me some new images that they put out. Also people who are great on Facebook about posting in a sort of a professional manner. Maybe there are some personal posts too, but it's mostly sort of telling a story, if you will, about their artist practice, right? So whether you're a musician and you're Facebooking or tweeting about what you're up to with your band, or whether you're a visual artist and you're tweeting about a new painting you've done, just sort of feeding people little tiny bits of content.
We should probably define, I think, what we're talking about, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. I'm sure everybody in here is on one, if not all of those now. And I swear this is the only time I'm going to say this. Web 2.0 is what this all is. The idea of getting out of the idea, which a lot of us in traditional media grew up on, which is that we own some sort of content and we put it behind the wall, and then you want that content bad enough that you're going to jump over the wall or pay to get through the wall to get to it. I think it's safe to say, and everybody at this panel would agree, that we are never going to see that time come, probably again in our lifetimes. So all of you out there who are artists or creators of some type of content, you're asking yourself, well, what's my new model? It's like the Wild West out there. The thing you need to do now is you have to become your own promoter. The days of you just need to build your piece of art and then letting the world come to it are pretty much gone at this point. There's no longer an industry looking to find you. You have to find your audience. And that's what YouTube and Twitter and all that stuff is about, is just getting connected with your audience directly. You need to be asking yourselves really hard questions like, who would care about what I'm doing? And then go to where that place is. Talk to media people like us and ask, well, who would care about this? I mean, do you like this? Is this interesting? Are there people doing this sort of similar thing in Tampa Bay or somewhere else in the world? And make those connections.
I think who would already care, and also who would care maybe just a little bit, enough that you could convince them to care more with a great website or access to lots of your music, a fabulous bio that convinces them you're a really interesting person with a great story that they in turn can tell. So, really selling yourself in a way that's sort of authentic to who you are. I don't know if that makes sense.